Hi everyone, bonjour tout le monde. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a good weekend, that the beginning of the week is going fine. I'm happy to see you today for a new class. So today we're going to talk about the verb IR. If you missed last week's class, we talked about the verb ER because if you know or not, the groups of verbs in French are split into different categories depending on their ending. So last week we talked about the first group of verbs, which are the verbs finishing with ER. But for today, we're going to focus on the second group, which is the verb finishing with IR. Little reminder, first group, ER. If you want to learn more about that, go check last week's video. Today, as I said, verbs IR. IR, such as the verb finir, that means to finish, choisir, to choose. Careful, if you look super close on the document, you see that under the verb IR, I wrote double S. Why that? Because the second group is not going to be all of the verbs finishing with IR. We have some verbs finishing with IR that's going to be a part of the third group, the last group of verbs. We have a rule to be able to distinguish those verbs. Where do we put the verb IR? Second group, where do we put that verb IR? Third group. So this is what we're going to see today. Okay, little reminder, just before we start the verbs, the personal pronoun, les pronoms personnels. If you want to say I, je. You want to say you, tu, he, il, she, elle, we say nous, don't pronounce the S, you, vous, don't pronounce the S, they, depending on the gender, if it's they, masculine, we're going to say il, and if it's they, feminine, say elle. Okay, now, as you know and as you saw last week, each group of verb has a specific ending. The second group is the verb IR. For those specific verbs in that specific group, they're going to have a specific ending. For je, that means I, the ending will always be IS. For tu, the same, IS. Then for il et elle, IT. Then for nous, you know that the natural ending of nous is ONS, right? We saw it last week. For those verbs, you're going to have to add the double S before the ONS. We're going to see the verbs, we're going to see some example, but the ending for nous will always be I, double S, and then the natural ending ONS. For vous, same thing. Natural ending with vous, always EZ. But for the verbs second group, you're going to have to add the double S before the EZ. So for vous, the ending will be I, double S, EZ. And then for they, il, elle, same thing. The natural ending is ENT, but for the verbs second group, we're going to have to add that double S also. So the ending for the pronoun il and elle will always be I, double S, ENT. So let's see a little example. If you want to say to finish, it's going to be the verb finir. Keep in mind, every time that you have a word, can be a noun, a verb, whatever, finishing with R, you always pronounce the R. So here, to finish, finir. And you pronounce the R. The R has to come from the throat, not finir, finir. Okay. Finir. You see that the ending is IR. When the ending is IR, what do we have to do? You know that with je, the ending is IS. So, what you're going to do, you're just going to take your verb, finir. You're going to remove the IR. Okay, the RR ending is the ending for the verb when it's its full form. That means to finish, finir. But if you want to conjugate that verb to a pronoun, you're going to have to remove that ending IR because now you're going to have to put a specific ending for the specific pronoun. So for je, it's IS. If you want to say I finish, you're going to say je finis. Be careful. S is not an R, it's mute. So you're not going to pronounce the S. Je finis. Then you finish. You see that the ending is IS. Same thing. So the pronunciation is going to be the same. Je finis. I finish. You finish. Tu finis. Same thing. Then for il et elle, the ending is IT. So I'm replacing my S with a T. The T is not an R. Same as usual, I don't pronounce it. So if I want to say he finishes, she finishes, il finit, elle finit. I don't pronounce my T. Then, this is where we can recognize a verb, second group IR or third group IR. When you want to say we finish, you have to add that double S. If you don't do it, if you see that the verb IR doesn't take the double S, it's not the second group. So if you want to say we finish, you know that the ending for nous is always ONS, but for the verb second group, I had my double S ahead. So we finish, nous finissons. Every time you have the double S, you need to pronounce that sound like an S sound. Nous finissons. I pronounce my ONS, but I'm never going to pronounce the final S. It's not an R, it's mute. We finish. Nous finissons. Same thing for vous. You know that the natural ending for vous is always EZ, but because it's second group, I need to add my double S in front of my EZ. So you finish, vous finissez. EZ, A sound, double S, S sound. You finish, vous finissez. And then, same thing for il, elle, for they. If I want to say they finish, natural ending ENT, but I need to add my double S in front of my ENT. ENT, always mute. Careful, never pronounce the ENT. So I have my double S that I pronounce the S sound, and I stop there. They finish, ils finissent, elles finissent. That's all. Just be careful. The double S, it's only for the plural pronouns. That means for nous, for vous, il, elle. So we, you, and they. For je, tu, il, elle, singular pronoun, there's no need to add the double S. It's just for the last three ones. So if I want to say the verb to finish, finir, je finis, tu finis, il, elle finit, nous finissons, vous finissez, il, elle finissent. Another example. I want to say to choose. If I want to say to choose, I'm going to say choisir. Careful with the pronunciation on this one. O-I, wa sound. Wa. Then, you see here, my S is between two vowels. Every time that the S is between two vowels, Z sound. And then I-R, I pronounce my R, so choisir, to choose. Same thing. I know that the ending for je is IS, so I'm replacing my IR that I put on the side with the right ending for je. Je choisis. I'm not going to pronounce my S, it's not an R. Je choisis, tu choisis. It's going to be the same ending, IS. I'm not pronouncing the S. Je choisis, tu choisis. Il choisit, elle choisit. You know that for il et elle, it's IT. T is mute. Then this one, careful with the pronunciation. If you want to say we choose, you're going to have to say nous choisissons. First S is one S between two vowels, Z sound. The double S is always S sound. I know that I have to add my double S in front of my ending ONS, so I'm going to be saying nous choisissons. And I don't pronounce my final S. Same thing for vous. I need to add my double S in front of my ending EZ. EZ ending, A sound, double S, S sound. Vous choisissez. So the first S, Z sound, the second double S, S sound. Choisissez. And the last one, they choose, ENT ending. I had my double S just in front. Ils choisissent, elles choisissent. ENT always mute, and I pronounce my double S like an S sound. So, to choose, choisir. Je choisis, tu choisis, il choisit, elle choisit, nous choisissons, vous choisissez, ils choisissent, elles choisissent. Okay, another one that are going to be all good. If I want to say to grow up, I'm going to be saying grandir. Same as usual, I pronounce my R. Grandir. Grandir, to grow up. Same ending. I know that for je, I-S. Je grandis, tu grandis, I-S. Il grandit, elle grandit. So she grows up, she grows up. Don't pronounce the T. This one, we grow up, nous grandissons. Always double S in front of the ending. Grandissons, vous grandissez, ils grandissent, elles grandissent. Never pronounce the ENT. Double S, always S sound. That's all. Donc, to grow up, grandir, je grandis, tu grandis, il, elle grandit, nous grandissons, vous grandissez, il, elle grandissent. And I stop my pronunciation at the S sound. Okay, last one. If I want to talk about the verb to act, I'm going to be saying agir. Careful. When you look pronunciation on the previous one, J plus R, G sound, grandir, okay? But if you have the letter G with the I, it's always going to be J sound. Donc, to act, agir. Same ending. J'agis, IS. Tu agis, IS. Il, elle agit, IT. Nous, careful with this one. We have the G, agissons. Okay, double S sound, don't pronounce the final S. But because the verb here starts with a vowel, I'm always going to try to link my pronoun with my verb. So I'm going to be pronouncing the S from nous to link it to the A with agissons. So if I want to say we act, nous agissons. I use my S from nous to link it to the A. Nous agissons. Same thing for vous. Vous agissez. Ils agissent. Elles agissent. Same thing. Every time that you have a verb that starts with a vowel and that your pronoun is plural, that means there's a S at the end of that pronoun. Always try to link it. Little thing here. You see that to act, agir, starts with a vowel. Look at je. Here, we don't have je agis. Why not? Because every time that you have a verb that starts with a vowel, when it comes to je, I, and je only, you can remove the E from je to be able to put an apostrophe and then link it all. So instead of saying je agis, that means like there's a cut in the pronunciation because you're going to have to pronounce two vowels next to each other. It's not smooth anymore. We're going to be saying j'agis. J'agis, super smooth, super good. So then we go again to act, agir. J'agis, tu agis, il, elle agit, nous agissons, I link, vous agissez, you link, and then ils, elles agissent. We always try to link. Okay, now remember I told you it's not all of the verbs finishing with IR. It's not because you have a verb full form, that means, for example, to leave, which is partir. Partir, IR, second group. Nope. Of course, we have some exceptions. So this is what we're going to see right now. Careful, okay? You know that the rule for the verb second group is to need to have that double S. If you don't have the double S in front of the ending, it's not second group. So for example, if I'm going to say to leave, partir. Je pars. Don't pronounce the S. Tu pars. Il, elle part. Don't pronounce your T. Then this is where you see that it's not a verb from the second group. Because if it was a verb second group, we should have had our double S plus the ONS, such as partissons. Because I'm removing my natural ending, I'm putting my double S, ONS, and I'm good. No. This one, we're not going to be saying nous partissons, we're going to be saying nous partons, which is the natural ending of nous, ONS. I don't add my double S here. So those verbs that works like that, they're gonna have to be put third group, not the second one. Same for vous. I'm not gonna be saying vous partissez because in this one, partir is not a verb from the second group, so I don't need to add my double S. So if I want to say you leave, vous partez. The natural ending is it. Same thing for they. Ils, elles partent, not partissent. I'm not gonna put my double S. It's not the same group of verb. So partir, third group. Third group, notable S. Je pars, tu pars, il, elle part, nous partons, we leave, vous partez, you leave, ils partent, elles partent, they leave. And one, if you want to say to run, courir. Same thing. Je cours, tu cours, elle court. Nous courons. No double S. We're not going to say nous courissons. Nous courons. Vous courez. Elle court. So if you don't see a double S, this is not a verb second group, it's the third one. Careful. Je cours, tu cours, elle court. Nous courons, vous courez, elle court. Okay. Now, I think you are capable of trying this little exercise. You have the verb infinitif that I put next to it. So infinitif means full form. Finir, choisir, grandir. You know the verb. I gave you a little clue. I put you the group of verb next to it so that you know that if it's second group, you need to have the double S. If not, no double S. Let's try to see how you deal with it, how you work on it. Try to do it. If you have any questions, same as usual, don't forget to text us. You can contact us in the comment section on our social medias. We're going to be happy to help you. I just cannot wait if you did good on the exercise. If you have any question, you text us. And I just cannot wait to see you next week for another class. Bye. Have a good day.